For those of you interested in building and maintaining your own AR-15 rifles at home, I made this video to show you some essential tools that you're going to need to get started. Let's have a look. The first most important thing is going to be an AR-15 armorer's tool. This is kind of like your Swiss Army knife of AR-15 tools, because it has several different features on it, all for a multitude of purposes. The first one is going to be a barrel nut wrench. This one should engage with the standard barrel nut on an AR-15 to allow you to tighten and loosen. It has typically these have two different sides. They have a 3 or 2 pronged end like this, or they have this one here, which is designed to engage with these teeth on your barrel nut. They have typically either a 3/8 or 1/2 inch drive hole so that you can connect this to a wrench for tightening, and they should have a 3/4 cut that is used for tightening down your standard A2 flash hider. It's also usually compatible with a lot of aftermarket flash hiders as well. Another one is going to be, or another feature of this tool, that there's many different versions of this tool sold on the market, but they're all going to be pretty common. This one happens to be a Palmetto State Armory tool, but DPMS, Magpul, and Wheeler Engineering, a variety of manufacturers that are big suppliers of gunsmithing tools, should have their own version with a lot of things, with a lot of features that are going to be common to this. This also has a barrel nut wrench at this end, which is going to go engage with the castle nut on your wrench for torquing down. The next most important thing that you're going to want to get yourself is a vise block such as this one here. And what these are they are polymer blocks, and they typically come with this insert so that you can mount your upper receiver into a vise. Like so. It should seat right in there. When you take the insert in, you can mount that in there. And what that's going to do is this receiver block is going to make sure that you can mount your AR-15 into a vise without crushing it, and that's also what this insert does here, as well as it has this to make sure that you properly indexed your hole for the gas tube once you get your barrel and barrel nut installed. This one right here is the Wheeler Engineering version, and all of these tools can typically be found online at Brownells or Midway, Ames Surplus, or a variety of other suppliers that sell gunsmithing tools. Another thing you're going to want to get yourself is some roll pin punches, and also a set of brass punches for situations when you're going to want to tap things out without marring them. Brass is very soft and it won't scratch or mar your receiver. However, these are really these are kind of superfluous. They're not absolutely necessary. I like to have them around, but you definitely need to get roll pin punches. And what roll pin punches are good for is that the little pins that hold in things such as your trigger guard and your gas tube, they have a little pin that's cut on one side that's designed to crush when it's pounded in place. And what these do is they have a little tapered end which you can install that pin on and then pound it down into position. And these are absolutely essential to have. The next most essential thing is going to be a receiver vise block. This one's the Pro Mag version, and what these are polymer blocks which are designed to insert into your magazine well like that, so that you can now mount this lower receiver into a vise, and it provides a steady platform for you to work on, so that you can install components such as your trigger and your handguard, and also torque down your receiver extension. And that brings us to the next item that's absolutely essential to have is a torque wrench. A torque wrench is absolutely essential for proper maintenance and construction of the AR-15. That is because items such as your barrel nut and your receiver extension have to be torqued to proper specifications to make sure that your barrel is held in place for the best accuracy. If you have a barrel that's loosely torqued, it could result in small amounts of vibration that could throw off your groups, and you just don't want that. This one I have here happens to be a Craftsman, which has a range of 0 to 75 foot-pounds. I would look for one that's probably 0 to 100 or 0 to 120. The barrel nuts have to be torqued to 35 foot-pounds, and the receiver extensions are typically torqued to 40 foot-pounds. So one with a 0 to 100 or 0 to 75 range would be perfect. And torque wrenches are very common. You can usually pick these up at Harbor Freight, Home Depot, Lowe's, or just about any hardware store. Another thing you're going to want to get yourself is going to be a good hammer. I recommend a brass hammer, such as right here, because brass really gives you a lot of mass for driving in pins, and brass is very soft and it won't scratch or mar the aluminum that the AR-15s are made out of. Another good thing, some of the plastic soft blow hammers would also work as well. A good hammer is just essential for that. Some other things too, you probably just are going to want to get a basic screwdriver, typically for installing handguards, or not handguards, but for installing pistol grips. And some of them are different. Some of them use like an Allen wrench or an Allen head screw. It all depends on the manufacturer you're using. The next thing a lot of people overlook, but I think is absolutely essential, is you're going to want to get yourself a tube or container of AeroShell 33 MS grease. What this stuff is this stuff is a synthetic grease that is used in the aerospace industry for high heat applications. And what you're going to use this for is when you install your barrel nut, you're going to want to apply it to the threads of your receiver. And what that does, this is per military specification, what that does is it prevents any welding of the two metals together under high heat conditions. It kind of acts like an anti-seize, similar to what you might apply to spark plug threads. Alright, and that pretty much covers all the tools you're going to need at the bare minimum to get started building an AR-15. All these tools can be picked up online at places such as Midway, Brownells, Ames Surplus, Palmetto State Armory. But that's it. Thanks for tuning in.